The 1990 FIFA World Cup was the 14th FIFA World Cup, the quadrennial international football world championship tournament. It was held from the 8th of June to the 8th of July 1990 in Italy, the second country to host the event twice. Teams representing 116 national football associations entered, and qualification began in April 1988. A total of 22 teams qualified from this process, along with host nation Italy and defending champion Argentina. The tournament was won by West Germany, their third World Cup title. They beat Argentina 1-0 in the final, a rematch of the previous final 4 years earlier. Italy finished third, and England fourth, after both lost their semi-finals in penalty shootouts. This was the last tournament to feature a team from the divided Germany, with the country being reunified later in 1990. Costa Rica, Ireland and the UAE made their first appearances in the finals, and Egypt its first since 1934. The official match ball was the Adidas of Trusca Unico. The 1990 World Cup is widely regarded as one of the poorest World Cups. It generated an average 2.21 goals per game, a record low that still stands, and a then record 16 red cards, including the first ever dismissal in a final. This World Cup saw the introduction of the pre-match fair play flag to encourage fair play. Negative tactics led to the introduction of the back pass rule in 1992, and 3 points for a win instead of 2 at future World Cups. Nonetheless, the 1990 World Cup stands as one of the most watched events in television history, garnering an estimated 26.69 billion non-unique viewers over the course of the tournament. This was the first World Cup to be officially recorded and transmitted in HD TV by the Italian broadcaster Rai in association with Japan's NHK. At the time, it was the most watched World Cup in history in non-unique viewers, but was bettered by the 1994 and 2002 World Cups. Host selection. The vote to choose the hosts of the 1990 tournament was held on the 19th of May 1984 in Zurich, Switzerland. Here, the FIFA Executive Committee chose Italy ahead of the only rival bid, the USSR, by 11 votes to 5. This awarding made Italy only the second nation to host 2 World Cup tournaments, after Mexico had also achieved this with their 1986 staging. Italy had previously had the event in 1934, where they had won their first championship. Austria, England, France, Greece, West Germany and Yugoslavia also submitted initial applications for the 31st of July 1983 deadline. A month later, only England, Greece, Italy and the Soviet Union remained in the hunt after the other contenders all withdrew. All 4 bids were assessed by FIFA in late 1983, with the final decision overrunning into 1984 due to the volume of paperwork involved. In early 1984, England and Greece also withdrew, leading to a 2-horse race in the final vote. The Soviet boycott of the 1984 Olympic Games, announced on the eve of the World Cup decision. Qualification. 116 teams entered the 1990 World Cup, including Italy as host nation and Argentina as reigning World Cup champions, who were both granted automatic qualification. Thus, the remaining 22 finals places were divided among the continental confederations, with 114 initially entering the qualification competition. Due to rejected entries and withdrawals, 103 teams eventually participated in the qualifying stages. 13 places were contested by UEFA teams, 3 by CONMEBOL teams, 2 by CAF teams, 2 by AFC teams, and 2 by CONCACAF teams. The remaining place was decided by a playoff between a CONMEBOL team and a team from the OFC. Both Mexico and Chile were disqualified during the qualification process, the former for fielding an overage player in a prior youth tournament, the latter after goalkeeper Roberto Rojas faked injury from a firework thrown from the stands, which caused the match to be abandoned. Chile were also banned from the 1994 qualifiers for this offense. 3 teams qualified for the first time: Costa Rica, the Republic of Ireland and the United Arab Emirates. Returning after long absences were Egypt, who appeared for the first time since 1934, the United States, who competed for the first time since 1950, Colombia, who appeared for the first time since 1962, and Romania, who last appeared at the finals in 1970. Among the teams who failed to qualify were France, Denmark, Poland and Hungary. As of 2014, this was the last time that Egypt and United Arab Emirates qualified for a FIFA World Cup finals. Venues: 12 stadiums were selected to host the World Cup matches in 12 different cities. The Stadio San Nicola in Bari and Turin Stadio dell'Alpi were completely new venues opened for the World Cup. The remaining 10 venues all underwent extensive programs of improvements in preparation for the tournament, forcing many of the club tenants of the stadia to move to temporary homes. Additional seating and roofs were added to most stadia, with further redevelopments seeing running tracks removed and new pitches laid. Due to structural constraints, several of the existing stadia had to be virtually rebuilt to implement the changes required. Like España, 82. The group stage of this tournament was organized in such a way where specific groups only played in 2 cities close in proximity to each other. Group A only played in Rome and Florence. Group B played their matches in Naples and Bari. Group C played their matches in Turin and Genoa. Group D played all the matches in Milan and Bologna. Group E played only in Udine and Verona. And Group F played on the island cities of Cagliari and Palermo. The cities that hosted the most World Cup matches were the 2 biggest cities in Italy, Rome and Milan, each hosting 6 matches, and Bari, Naples, and Turin each hosted 5 matches. Cagliari, Udine and Palermo were the only cities of the 12 selected that did not host any knockout round matches. Most of the construction cost in excess of their original estimates, and total costs ended up being over £550 million. Rome's Stadio Olimpico, which would host the final, was the most expensive project overall, while Udine's Stadio Friuli, the newest of the existing stadia, cost the least to redevelop. Squads for the 1990 World Cup consisted of 22 players, as for the previous tournament in 1986. Replacement of injured players was permitted during the tournament at FIFA's discretion. 2 goalkeepers, Argentina's Angel Camitso and England's Dave Besant, entered their respective squads during the tournament to replace injured players. Match officials: 41 match officials from 34 countries were assigned to the tournament to serve as referees and assistant referees. Officials in italics were only used as assistants during the tournament. Referees dressed only in traditional black jerseys for the final time at a World Cup. Groups. Seedings: the 6 seeded teams for the 1990 tournament were announced on 7 December 1989. The seeds were then allocated to the 6 groups in order of their seeding rank. The seeds were decided by FIFA based on the nation's performance in, primarily, the 1986 World Cup, with the 1982 World Cup also considered as a secondary influence. 6 of the final 8 in 1986 had qualified for the 1990 tournament. Italy, who were seeded first as hosts, had not reached the final 8 in 1986, and this left FIFA needing to exclude one of the 3 nations who were eliminated in the 1986 quarter-finals: Brazil, England or Spain. Owing to their performance in 1982, but also to their overall World Cup record, Brazil were seeded 3rd and not considered to drop out of the seedings. FIFA opted to seed England ahead of Spain. Spain had only been eliminated in 1986 on penalties, while England had been defeated in 90 minutes. Both countries had also reached the second stage in the 1982 event. But Spain had also appeared in the 1978 event, while England had failed to qualify. FIFA President João Havelange had reportedly earlier stated that Spain would be seeded. Spanish officials believed the seeding was contrived to ensure England would be placed in Group F, the group to be held off the Italian mainland, in a bid to contain England's hooliganism problems. Their coach Luis Suarez said, "We feel we've been cheated. They wanted to seed England and to send it to Cagliari at all costs. So they invented this formula." FIFA countered that the formula was based on the teams' respective showings during the previous two World Cups. England merited the sixth position. This is in no way a concession to English hooliganism. Final draw on the 9th of December 1989. The draw was conducted at the Palazzetto dello Sport in Rome, where the teams were drawn out from the three pots to be placed with the seeded teams in the predetermined groups. The only stipulation of the draw was that no group could feature two South American teams. The ceremony was hosted by Italian television presenter Pippo Baudo, with Italian actress Sofia Loren and opera singer Luciano Pavarotti conducting the draw alongside FIFA General Secretary Sepp Blatter. The draw show was FIFA's most ambitious yet, with Pelé, Bobby Moore and Karl-Heinz Rummenigge appearing, as well as a performance of the Italian version of the tournament's official song, "To Be Number One," by Giorgio Moroder, performed as "Una State Italiana" by Edoardo Bennato and Gianna Nannini. The event also featured the official mascot of this World Cup, Ciao, a stick figure player with a football head and an Italian tricolour body that formed the word Italia when deconstructed and reconstructed. Its name is an Italian greeting. Tournament review. The finals tournament began in Italy on the 8th of June and concluded on the 8th of July. The format of the 1990 competition remained the same as in 1986. 24 qualified teams were divided into 6 groups of 4. The top 2 teams and 4 best third-place finishers from the 6 groups advanced to the knockout stage, which eliminated the teams until a winner emerged. In total, 52 games were played. Negative tactics. The tournament generated a record low goals per game average, and a then record of 16 red cards were handed out. In the knockout stage, many teams played defensively for 120 minutes, with the intention of trying their luck in the penalty shootout, rather than risk going forward. There were 4 penalty shootouts, a record subsequently equaled in the 2006 and 2014 tournaments. 8 matches went to extra time, a record equaled in the 2014 tournament. Ireland and Argentina were prime examples of this trend of cautious defensive play. The Irish scored just twice in 5 games in drawing all their matches until their defeat to Italy in the quarter-finals. Losing finalists Argentina, meanwhile, scored only 5 goals in the entire tournament. Argentina also became the first team to advance twice on penalty shootouts and the first team to fail to score and have a player sent off in a World Cup final. Largely as a result of this trend, FIFA introduced the back pass rule in time for the 1994 tournament to make it harder for teams to time waste by repeatedly passing the ball back for their goalkeepers to pick up. 3, rather than 2, points would be awarded for victories at future tournaments to help further encourage attacking play. Emergence of Cameroon. Cameroon reached the quarter-finals, where they were narrowly defeated by England. They opened the tournament with a shock victory over reigning champions Argentina, before topping the group ahead of both them and European Championship runners-up the Soviet Union. Their success was fired by the goals of Roger Milla, a 38-year-old forward who came out of international retirement to join the national squad at the last moment after a personal request from Cameroonian President Paul Biya. Milla's 4 goals and flamboyant goal celebrations made him one of the tournament's biggest stars, as well as taking Cameroon to the last 8. In reaching this stage, they had gone further than any African nation had ever managed in a World Cup before, a feat only equaled twice since Their success was African football's biggest yet on the world stage, and FIFA subsequently decided to offer the CAF qualifying zone an additional place for the next World Cup tournament. All-champion Final Four. Despite the performances of nations such as Cameroon, Colombia and Costa Rica, the semi-finalists consisted of Argentina, England, Italy and West Germany, all previous World Cup winners, with a total of 8 previous titles between them. After the 1970 tournament, this is only the second time in the history of the World Cup this has occurred. The teams which finished first, second and third had also contested both the 2 previous World Cup finals between themselves. Group stage. All times are Central European Summertime in the following tables. PLD equals total games played. W equals total games won. D equals total games drawn. L equals total games lost. GF equals total goals scored. GAR equals total goals conceded. GD equals goal difference. PTS equals total points accumulated. The group stage saw the 24 teams divided into 6 groups of 4 teams. Each group was a round-robin of 6 games, where each team played 1 match against each of the other teams in the same group. Teams were awarded 2 points for a win, 1 point for a draw and none for a defeat. The teams coming first and second in each group qualified for the round of 16. The 4 best third-place teams would also advance to the next stage. If teams were level on points, they were ranked on the following criteria in order: greatest total goal difference in the 3 group matches, greatest number of goals scored in the 3 group matches. If teams remained level after those criteria, a mini-group would be formed from those teams, who would be ranked on most points earned in matches against other teams in the tie, greatest goal difference in matches against other teams in the tie, greatest number of goals scored in matches against other teams in the tie. If teams remained level after all these criteria, FIFA would hold the drawing of lots. Group A hosts Italy won Group A with a 100% record. They beat Austria 1-0 thanks to substitute Salvatore Toto Schillaci, who had played only 1 international before but would become a star during the tournament. A second 1-0 victory followed against a United States team already thumped 5-1 by Czechoslovakia. The Czechoslovaks ended runners-up in the group, while the USA's first appearance in a World Cup finals since 1950 ended with 3 consecutive defeats. Group B. Cameroon defeated reigning champions Argentina. Despite ending the match with only 9 men, the African team held on for a shock 1-0 win, with contrasting fortunes for the brothers Bike. François Omam scoring the winning goal, shortly after seeing André Canna sent off for a serious foul. In their second game, the introduction of Roger Miller was the catalyst for a 2-1 win over Romania, Miller scoring twice from the bench. With progression assured, Cameroon slumped to a 4-0 defeat in their final group game to a Soviet Union side striving to stay in the tournament on goal difference after successive 2-0 defeats. A 1-1 draw between Romania and Argentina sent both through, the latter as one of the best third-placed teams. Group C. Costa Rica beat Scotland 1-0 in their first match, lost 1-0 to Brazil in their second, then saw off Sweden 2-1 to claim a place in the second round. Brazil took maximum points from the group. They began with a 2-1 win over Sweden, then beat both Costa Rica and Scotland 1-0. Scotland's 2-1 win over Sweden was not enough to save them from an early return home as one of the 2 lowest-ranked third-placed teams. Group D featured the most goals of all the groups, due in part to the defensive inadequacies of a United Arab Emirates team that lost 2-0 to Colombia, 5-1 to West Germany and 4-1 to Yugoslavia. West Germany topped the group after a 4-1 opening victory over group runners-up Yugoslavia. Group E. The winners of Group E were Spain, for whom Mitchell hit a hat-trick as they beat South Korea 3-1 in an unbeaten group campaign. Belgium won their first two games against South Korea and Uruguay to ensure their progress. Uruguay's advance to the second round came with an injury-time winner against South Korea to edge them through as the weakest of the third-place sides to remain in the tournament. Group F featured the Netherlands, England, the Republic of Ireland and Egypt. In the 6 group games, no team managed to score more than once in a match. England beat Egypt 1-0, thanks to a 64th-minute goal from Mark Wright, and that was enough to win the group. The Republic of Ireland and the Netherlands finished with identical records. With both teams assured of progressing, they were split by the drawing of lots to determine second and third place.